To PHCPPros live from the ASPE trade show. We're going to do a series of interviews live from our booth and also archived for later use with a number of guests. And my first guest is Tom Ruggiero, Director of Sales for Commercial Plumbing, Therm Omega Tech. Tom, thanks for coming on.
Nice meeting you, Steve.
Hey, listen, I've been reporting on this industry since 1990, so I think it's safe to say that the plumbing industry is a pretty conservative, high-bound group of individuals. I mean, most family businesses, I mean, if I'm the son or the daughter, I like a product that maybe my dad did and maybe my grandfather did. So what changes have you observed in the last 5 years in this kind of conservative, high-bound industry?
So Steve, unlike you, I've only been involved in the commercial plumbing industry for 9 years. But what I've seen in the last 5 years, compared to when I first started, is more of an openness with engineers and contractors to be more willing to look at new technologies. I think there's this, and I understand it because a lot of these plumbing things go behind the walls and they have to last a long time.
Right.
So nobody wants to take the risk of trying something that doesn't work out.
Exactly.
So, but some of the examples of successes we had is with Circuit Solver, which is a thermostatic balancing valve. Over the last few years, that's really gained major acceptance, where 8 years ago, people didn't even want to talk about it.
Yeah.
And another issue is some of these other products that I've seen basically gain acceptance is variable speed drives, tankless hot water heaters, intelligent faucets. All these types of devices now you can see every day that the plumbing engineers and contractors are starting to use them and starting to be more comfortable with them.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned Circuit Solver.
Yes.
What role has that played in the kind of the renaissance, I guess, of adopting new products for a traditional industry?
So, this is a personal feeling anyway, but for 10 years we've been promoting thermostatic balancing. And like I said, early on there was not much acceptance, but through all our efforts and our sales rep efforts in promoting and educating the community on thermostatic balancing valves, and we've had thousands of successful installations over the last few years. So I think that success basically has helped pave the way in some ways for these other technologies to gain acceptance. What I've heard sometimes was if we weren't successful with Circuit Solver, if there were bad installations and things like that, would the engineering community now be reticent to try other technologies because they said, okay, I dipped my toe in the water and it didn't really work out that well. Fool me once, don't fool me twice kind of a thing.
Sure.
So, so I think in those small ways, I think Circuit Solver helped pave the way for that acceptance.
Good.
Yeah.
Now, we're at ASPE. It's the first convention they've had, I think, for 4 years, certainly since before COVID.
Yeah, right.
I could be wrong about the years,
right.
but I haven't had a chance to look at any seminars that are coming up, but I'm sure Legionnaire's disease is going to be a topic for more than one. So what have you seen in Legionella cases over the years that you yourself have, I guess, that your company has helped address?
So again, along the lines of what's happened over the last 5 years, right? There's been a bigger push with different entities looking for Legionella mitigation, right? And so what we've seen more recently is everyone was doing these in their own little silos. The engineers are looking at Legionella in their own way, the physicians and scientists in their own way, and the healthcare facilities in their own way. What I've seen recently now is more of a multidisciplinary effort to address Legionella. Like for instance, I was just at a certification class for ASSE 12080, which is basically Legionella safety and water management. That certification class is typically done by healthcare workers. In the class I was in, not only were there healthcare workers taking that class, but there was also engineers, manufacturers, scientists, everyone not just trying to understand Legionella, but understand everyone else's issues with Legionella and how can they basically solve those problems.
Good.
And by the way, I passed that certification.
I was going to ask you that. That was my next question. And, I mean, your product itself, how does it address the dangers of Legionella? I mean, can you give me a 10,000-foot view of that?
So, I mean, basically, one of the problems with Legionella in hot water systems, right, is the fact that the Legionella can grow in the piping systems. And so one of the ways to basically mitigate that is to basically use very hot water to kind of kill the Legionella bacteria. So we have some valves with circuit solver for thermal disinfection. And so basically what you're able to do then is hit the whole plumbing system with very hot water, 160 and higher, to help kill the Legionella.
Okay.
And then also, just our normal operating valves is, one of the things now, you go around talking to the engineers, and they basically, like we talked about earlier, old school and things like that. So one of the things with the engineers, they have a historic way of doing things, and they're very busy. So a lot of times they'll take the easy way out. They'll use a lot of rules of thumb.
Yeah.
Right. With Legionella these days, be more, on everyone's radar. You can't be like that. You got to be more exacting about what you're doing. And so Circuit Solver is a product that basically will control that water in those systems pretty much exactly like you want, versus traditional methods of doing it where, manual balancing valves, you're trying to make an adjustment, see if it works. If conditions change, the valve is fixed, and Circuit Solver will basically be dynamic and address those kinds of conditions.
Good. So, from talking to you, it sounds like what is a very traditionally minded industry is still kind of definitely open to new ideas. You mentioned the ASE, where people are from not just healthcare, but also engineers, contractors, manufacturers.
When I travel around the country talking to engineers, one of the things I saw was a lot of them were saying, like, okay, the healthcare facilities want us to do something to mitigate Legionella. So they're asking us what we should do, and we don't know what we should do. And so there's all this back and forth, people not pointing fingers, but just not understanding and looking to each other for answers.
Right.
Yeah.
People are kind of coming together, at least, on this particular topic.
Yep.
So, with that in mind, what's going to happen in the next few years for your company and
for commercial plumbing?
Yeah, for Legionella. I mean, Legionella's on our mind, I guess, but there's other things.
Yes.
But where do you see everything coming into play?
So other things, for the plumbing industry anyway, is number one, there's going to be more of a push towards integrating plumbing systems into building management systems. The HVAC industry has been doing that for years.
Yeah, electrical too.
Yes, and so it's time for the plumbing industry to catch on with that. So that's one of the big things we see happening. Also, we're a very data-driven society. You see it in our everyday lives. Like professional sports teams, for instance, right? They have analytics groups now, and they're basically just gathering tons of data, synthesizing it, and then basically using that for game day strategies and things like that. Right?
Yeah, the whole Moneyball thing.
Yes, right.
Exactly.
And so, the reality is you can't improve what you can't measure. So that's going to be some more of the things that we see in the plumbing industry. Integrated with BMS systems, gathering data, making decisions based on that to improve the overall, whether it's for Legionella or just making sure you get hot water when you turn on your faucet.
Right.
And then leading into that will also be automation processes. For instance, Circuit Solver is a great example of an automation process where traditionally balancing a hot water system is done with a manual balancing valve. You have people going around adjusting the valves. That whole process now is automated with Circuit Solver because all you do is put the valve in and it does all the work for you. So you eliminate all that labor that to balance the system. We also eliminate which a lot of the plumbing contractors really hate when it happens, is to have to go back and rebalance the system. So Circuit Solver is a dynamic valve, so it changes with changing conditions. So that's just another example of an automation process.
Right. So things have become more smarter.
More smarter, yes.
Right.
We're even starting to see in all these different devices that we're talking about, more and more intelligence in those devices.
Yeah. Well, like you said, you can't measure what you can't.
You can't improve.
You can't improve what you can't measure.
Right.
And in order to do that, you have to have things that are smart with the data behind it, or delivering it to you. Yeah. I'm curious. I've heard that sentiment that plumbing is kind of way behind in terms of HVAC and electrical.
Yes.
Why do you think that is?
I just think it's the nature of the industry in that, plumbing is basically, I'm sure a lot of the plumbing engineers will probably disagree, but it's more of a single modality type thing. When you talk about HVAC, right, you have plumbing, you have piping, you have air, you have electronics, you have all these different modalities in there. And I just think by nature, the types of people you see in HVAC, it's more of a broader spectrum of engineers and stuff like that there. And so I think because of that, there is more of that crossbreeding between engineers and more of that openness and interest in kind of moving on with the technology.
Okay. So, my last question is, what can PHCPPros readers expect from your company in the coming year? I think maybe you answered some of it with smart technology.
Yeah.
What else might you have be on the mind?
So number one, we're going to continue to be the number one provider of thermostatic balancing valves, period.
Mm-hmm.
Our overall goal long term is just to be the number one producer of balancing valves, thermostatic or otherwise. And we're going to continue with our thought leadership. We're basically going to continue writing articles, application notes, participating in local ASPE chapter events.
Mm-hmm.
We're participating in ASSE committees and ASPE committees and things like that. Right now, recently there's been a lot of competitors coming out in the market. And Steve, my mother used to always say to me, imitation is the highest form of flattery.
Yes.
So right now what we can safely say is there's a lot of other manufacturers out there that are really flattering circuits out there. And we appreciate the competition.
Mm-hmm.
I think it keeps us on our toes, keeps us moving forward.
Absolutely.
But the other thing it does is validate what we've known for 10 years, that thermostatic balancing is the way to go. And this is just another validation of it. So I wish the competitors a lot of luck. They have a long way to go. We've been doing it for 10 years. We've been doing thermostatic valves in general for 40 years. And we're the only plumbing company that I know that actually designs and fabricates our own thermostatic actuator.
Mm-hmm.
So I wish them a lot of luck.
Mm-hmm.
I think they have a long way to go.
All right. Well.
And as we speak right now, our engineers are back there developing new products for
Right.
2023.
So you're well ahead, and you got new stuff coming up that your competition doesn't really know that much about yet. So
Right.
I think you're safely in the lead for now.
Yes, right.
Good.
We just got to stay on our toes.
Well, good. Well, thanks for coming on
Yep.
with us today.
Yep.
I know you are in booth 307.
307.
Definitely go to that.
Yep.
And appreciate the time today.
Thank you,
Thank
Steve.
you,
It was
Tom.
really fun. I
Thank
enjoyed
you.
it. Thank you
Very
for the
good. Thank you.
conversation.
And we'll be back for more after this. All right, that was good. How many minutes was that? I was kind of curious. morning, everybody. My name is Steve Smith, the editor of PHC News Magazine. Welcome back to PHCPPros Live, where we're doing a series of interviews today and tomorrow, live in our booth here at ASPE. And my next guest is Chad Martin, Senior Manager of Product Training and Digital Learning for Zurn Elkay. Not just Zurn anymore, Zurn Elkay.
That's right.
Well, thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Thanks
Hey,
for
listen,
having me.
that's the big question, I guess, of the day. Zurn Elkay, two very familiar names, and last July, I guess, it became official
Yes.
that the merger happened. So, tell us more about the combination of Zurn and Elkay, and the Zurn Elkay, and how it's helping moving the industry forward.
Sure. So it's a pairing of two industry leaders that have been in the industry to help provide more sustainable solutions out there, whether they're hydration or hygienic. And then both companies are well over 100 years old and well renowned and respected in the specification community.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, what kind of new products launches with the new company, I guess, we can expect from them? What's on the docket?
So today in the booth, one of the technologies that we're featuring is a gear-driven sensor faucet system. So this gear-driven sensor faucet system is taking the age-old solenoid device that can be finicky out of that waterway and replacing it with ceramics. So a ceramic disc turns with a gear and delivers the water through the spout. So we're seeing
Rick Gilbert,
basically...
please come to the show office in front of booth 1301 in Hall C to clean your Apple EarPods. If you'd like to participate in our next prize drawing, please drop your ticket at the front of the exhibit hall.
All right, we're back.
We're back. The voice of God interrupted real quick. So what we're seeing is over 1 million cycles before any maintenance would need to be done on that device. And basically, the reliability lasts the life of a commercial restroom, which is about 10 years.
Okay. So we were talking before we hit live. It's been a few years since I went to Zurn in Milwaukee.
Yes.
But I remember last time I was there, I think the connected products, the suite of connected products was somewhat new.
Yes.
Is this, how is that extended into this?
That's a great question. So absolutely this technology for that faucet is there, and it gives you predictability of maintenance, and it gives you understanding of when that device has been operated and how much water has been dispensed or consumed on a daily basis or an hourly basis or a monthly basis. So if somebody is a LEED accredited facility and they need to have reporting capabilities, we can do that. Or if a building like an MGM property would have a Legionella concern, we have the capability of doing a cloud purge on command where we could turn on those faucets for that Legionella compliance.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. I was thinking too, with connected products, the predictive maintenance, that's an interesting way of thinking about it. I hadn't really thought about it until I went to Zurn 3 years ago. It's like, the old saw was that every 3,000 miles you change your oil. Yes. I guess if you were a city driver, maybe that worked, but I live in the country, so I was probably throwing the money to the mechanic a little more than I needed to. Absolutely. So this predictive maintenance takes all the use into consideration.
Absolutely. It comes into effect a lot of times with like an amusement park. So an amusement park where if a women's restroom went down, that would be inconvenient and could cost the park a lot of money. And they don't typically have, unfortunately, maybe plumbers on staff that are female that could go in during park hours. So that would have to be shut down in order to be maintained. So if they could get the predictive maintenance alert that there's something wrong with that device and it needs to be commissioned, they can go ahead and do that at the correct hours.
Good. All the more reason to use connected smart products, I guess,
Absolutely.
Well now, what solutions can Zurn Elkay do, I guess, that they couldn't do this separately? How is the merger going to help that work better?
So when we think of a commercial restroom or a commercial building, basically we're bringing Division 10 and Division 22 solutions, plumbing solutions to that finished restroom or finished water solutions to the entire facility. So if we think of an education segment, for example, that education segment, when we go into that finished restroom, on the outside we're going to have a water filtration system delivering water, and then on the way inside we also have solutions that are sensor operated flush valves, faucets, and then Zurn has vitreous china, and Zurn also owns Hadrian partitions, and then Zurn owns World Dryer. So all of that can be hands-free hygienic solutions from start to finish.
All the more important these days with COVID on everyone's mind, and
absolutely
washing your hands and not touching anything.
Absolutely. So if we think about the current state that we're in and concern with hygienics, it's top of everybody's mind. So we don't want to touch anything. If we do have touch, it wants to be as minimal as we can.
Yes, yes.
So that's where we continue to innovate into that segment. That has been, with COVID, the most segment that we've seen interest in, an explosion of interest
really?
in.
Okay. And the merger helps just engineers and installers bring the whole suite of products into that one room without going outside of.
That's correct. So when you look to a provider for a solution, we're there with a range of needs in those two different divisions, 10 to 22.
Right. One-stop shop.
One-stop shop.
Good. Now, we talked about some of this already, but what are the macro trends that you see happening in the next, 5-10 years or so?
So the two that are here that we're dealing with now are sustainability and the hygienics. So we talked a lot about the hygienics, so let's switch over to sustainability. As we innovate and have previously been innovating, a lot of our products have been sustainable, meaning we engineer them to that lower GPM or gallons per flush, a GPF.
Okay.
So when we innovate, we want to make sure that the solutions behind the wall and in front of the wall that are moving the water or handling that wastewater are designed for that lower gallons per flush or that lower wastewater they're seeing through there.
Right.
So it's not just at the faucet, it's after the faucet.
Well, I'm just kind of curious, what goes into the engineering of those kind of products? I mean, low flow, how does it all work a little bit better?
Sure. So we use computational fluid dynamics software to help us intelligently innovate.
Really?
And then we also have wet working water labs that we test devices on. So after our engineers design it in our 3D software, we then 3D print full size that part, and then we take it to our water testing devices with that to understand how the concepts handles the water flow.
Interesting. I'd like to see that someday.
Yes, absolutely.
Invite me over. Do I have to go to Erie or do I have to go to Milwaukee to see that?
So we have a test lab in Erie for roof drains. It's a state-of-the-art test facility for roof drains. And then in Cary, North Carolina, we have it for our finished plumbing solutions.
Okay, so I got to go to North Carolina.
Yes, got to always. Hey, we could come to North Carolina when it's cold in the winter.
Talk to you more about this. So we only have a couple more questions, but I know later this afternoon here at ASPE, the convention, you're hosting a session on smart grease monitoring. So tell us about that. What's all involved?
Sure. Our smart grease monitoring is offered by a company called ATS Grease Watch that we acquired not too long ago, and we pair it with our green turtle interceptors. Our green turtle interceptors on the outside and the inside have a lifetime warranty with the fiberglass. It's a very good solution. So when we pair it with the monitoring device, we're monitoring sediment on the bottom, we're monitoring the grease levels up top, and then we're monitoring also the discharge temperature. So when we think about cost to maintain that unit, all the cost is in pumping that grease out of that unit and knowing when to do that. So this system helps alert the owner or operator to when that device needs to be pumped, and it also tells them if they're discharging at over 140 degrees, because most municipalities don't want you discharging past that with 140 degrees.
Okay. So you mentioned smart sensor technology. So I'm assuming this is another kind of example of connected products?
Absolutely, it's a connected product. It will go to our Plum Smart portal, or it could go right to somebody's smartphone device
Right.
and alert them.
Yeah, that's a good point. I forgot to bring that up because I remember that was somewhat new 3-4 years ago when I was at CERN last time in Milwaukee before COVID. Yeah, the whole, like a dashboard essentially.
Yeah, so basically on your dashboard, when you first launch your dashboard, it'll give you the health, and it'll tell you if something is not within the range and it needs to be, and somebody needs to go out and to attend to that. And our alerts are push notifications, text messages, or emails.
Right. Got it all covered.
Yes.
So, last question, and we've talked to some of these things, but what can readers expect in the coming year, for example, from this new merged company?
Absolutely. So you'll see us continue to innovate in those hydration and hygienic realms, and all of our innovations will be targeted towards that.
Okay.
So an example of one of them will be expanding on our roof drain segment. 2 years ago we introduced the Flow Force, and now we're introducing another family to that Flow Force that is a promenade deck drain, and we're using that same body style that is out there, that is designed to meet the codes of today. So we redesigned our roof drain mold that had been out there for 60 years or more, designed to those codes. The code just recently changed, and now this product is designed specifically for it.
Very good. All right. Well, excellent. Well, thanks for coming. I know that you have a booth here that you want to plug.
Yes, booth number 801.
801. So everybody watching, please go to booth 801 and take a look at the new Zern LK product line.
Absolutely.
And we'll go from there. Thanks again, Chad.
Thank you, Steve.
And I'm going to take you up on that North Carolina.
You got it.
All right. Well, Chad, don't walk away.
Sorry.
Well, thanks again, Chad. We'll be right back after a little bit of a break.
Good afternoon. My name is Amalia Delianis, and I'm the editor of Plumbing Engineer magazine. Welcome to another episode of PHCPPros Live. We are here today at the ASPE Convention and Expo, which is taking place at the Indiana Convention Center. My guest this afternoon is Rick Nordier, and he is the Director of Product Management and Marketing at Chicago Faucets. Welcome, Rick.
Well, thanks, Amalia. It's great to be here.
Thank you for coming and joining me today. Why don't you tell me a little bit about your role at Chicago Faucets first?
So I'm the Director of Product Management and Marketing, as you identified. So we are responsible for identifying what is going on in the market, what new products the company should be developing, and then on the marketing side, we're responsible then for launching them to the market, communicating with our audiences, the traditional media, website, and so kind of bookending the development process.
So, and for our viewers who do not know about your organization, can you tell us a little bit about Chicago Faucets?
Sure. We are a 120-year-old commercial faucet company, founded in Chicago, still in Chicago. Was family owned until 2002 when we were purchased by the Gebert Group out of Switzerland. They've been a great resource for us, and they give us some guidance and pretty much let us do our own thing.
Oh, that's wonderful, wonderful. So the industry has seen a lot of change, or especially because of COVID in the last few years. What trends or needs are you trying to address in the market today?
Well, today, our main focus is healthcare, is a big part of our business, as well as education.
Okay.
So in healthcare, we're really focused on what healthcare is focused on, and that's patient safety. So the focus on surface-borne pathogens, waterborne pathogens, and what can we do to help them remediate those challenges. There's a big trend in healthcare in the last couple of years because Legionella hasn't gone away. It's only continued to be a problem. Any hospital that wants to get accredited now needs to have a water management plan. So they need to map out the plumbing system, identify any areas of risk, and then how they're going to remediate any problems should they have an outbreak in the future. So we're developing products and solutions to help them identify those problems and then remediate them, and hopefully keep them from becoming a problem at any point.
And do you work in tandem with the engineers who are designing or retrofitting the organization to help meet their needs with your product?
Yes, and we also work with the hospitals directly. We are in very close with a lot of facility managers and facility engineers. There's a lot of hospital systems across the country where we're the hard spec, largely in the clinical space and the patient room. That's really where you'll find us, less so in the public space.
Okay. So talk about your product line and how Chicago Faucets is addressing the needs in the healthcare system today.
Okay. So when we look at healthcare, we think of patient care. And one of our first big pushes into that space was our Hydronic touchless faucet.
Okay.
And so of course you've got touchless, so there's you don't have cross-contamination, it addresses surface-borne pathogens, but then we have designs that reduce the amount of stagnant water in the faucet, which that leads to the growth of Legionella. We also have an auto-draining shower system. What that does is when the shower is turned off, it drains the water out of the standing column or out of the hand spray, which is a common place for water to be trapped, and then the longer it sits, well, that's the perfect breeding ground for Legionella to grow and develop. So those are the two big areas around passing water, but we've also done a lot with scald protection. Most of our faucets have integrated thermostatic scald protection, which is all compliant to ASPE 1070, and even our shower valves have that as well in certain cases, as well as pressure balancing capabilities.
Okay, wow. And you also have a line of safety products, safety stations as well?
Yes. Newer addition is our combination eye wash and faucet. So we have two versions, one that's a traditional widespread manual faucet, and it's a high arc spout. So you've got the good clearance for washing your hands, but then the eye wash integrated in the top. so that it takes up less footprint as if you had to have a faucet and a safety eye wash. So you get to make the most of your limited footprint, and it's great for many hospitals end up repurposing areas, and you may not have that space to put an eye wash in. Well, now you can put it where the standard sink went and cover all your bases.
Oh, that's great. Are you trying to gain entry or working in other markets currently, or looking at new opportunities?
Oh, always. Always. As education and healthcare is our core, we're always looking at, well, what's adjacent to that? And we've been in these other markets for a long time, but we do see trends like the whole waterborne pathogen and Legionella concern. We see that cropping up in other places where, we say, intermittent usage, like a convention center. There's times of the year this is not going to be used. You have stagnant water concerns. Stadiums, it's a similar issue, and so we've seen our auto drain showers get spec'd into that types of venues as well, and we've even broadened our portfolio to different faucet designs, less institutional looking, to help us get into the public spaces in a variety of, pretty much we say we have, whatever the application, we have a faucet for it. And a great example is our faucets, our touchless EQ faucet, are installed in the restrooms here at the Indiana Convention Center.
Oh, fantastic.
So
if you're here today and need to go wash your hands, you're working with the Chicago Faucets line. That's awesome. Challenges have been big in the industry over the last. What kinds of challenges do you think are you trying to contend with currently, and how are you dealing with them?
Well, pretty much the same as everyone else. They used to say, if you remember, there was a T-shirt that said, "It's the economy, stupid."
Yeah.
Well, now it's kind of like it's a supply chain. But we've all been dealing with that for 2 years. The labor challenges, and now inflation on top of it. But we're managing quite well, like everyone else. The pandemic had its challenges. It also brought its opportunities, because we are largely a U.S.-based manufacturer. So as supply chains tighten, we are able to answer our customers' needs better than some of our competition. So that opened up new opportunities for us.
So, what can our readers and our viewers today expect from Chicago Faucets this year and the year ahead?
I think you can continue to see more products and solutions for addressing waterborne pathogens, for sure. You'll see us continue to expand our line of touchless faucets. We've got a couple in our booth today. They're much more contemporary design. We continue to introduce different finishes. We've got matte black in a couple of different finishes. We offer touchless soap dispensers now. And so these have all been embraced by the specification community.
Wonderful. And if we're here at the convention and someone would like to stop by and visit you, what's your booth number?
Our booth number is booth 202.
Okay. And if someone who is just viewing us and not at the convention today, how can they find out more information about Chicago Faucets?
Well, the best thing you can do is go to LinkedIn and follow us. But then you could go to www.chicagofaucets.com. We do have email newsletters you can subscribe to for both healthcare and education, and we're rolling out new ones all the time. So there's plenty of ways to find us and engage.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time this afternoon, and I look forward to working with you in the future.
Well, thank you very much.
Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you. And I'm the editor of Plumbing Engineer magazine, and I would like to welcome you to another episode of PHCPPros Live. Today we are here at the ASPE Convention and Expo, which is taking place at the Indiana Convention Center, and my guest this afternoon is Dave Edler. Welcome, Dave.
Well, thank you.
Dave is currently the director of MediTrack at OmegaFlex.
That's correct.
And why don't you tell us a little bit about your role at the organization at MediTrack?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me today. Yes, I am the director of MediTrack, corrugated medical tubing for OmegaFlex. We're one of the divisions of the company, and I basically manage everything from engineering to operations, along with sales and marketing and so on.
Oh, wonderful. And can you tell us a little bit about OmegaFlex and MediTrack as well, the organization overall?
Sure. You know, OmegaFlex itself is nearly a 50-year-old company. We've been producing metal hose for various different industries, divisions. We have 3 different divisions within the company. Our industrial, our corrugated stainless steel for fuel gas products. And now the newest is the MediTrack, corrugated medical tubing for positive pressure and vacuum gases in healthcare facilities, dental offices, veterinary clinics.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what exactly is MediTrack corrugated metal tubing? Can you explain this?
I know it's a little bit of a mouthful there, but yeah. No, MediTrack corrugated medical tubing is really the latest innovation in gas piping for healthcare facilities, dental offices, veterinary clinics, things like that. Anything requiring positive pressure medical gases through a clean piping system to deliver to patient use.
Okay, and what is it made of? What is the tubing made of?
So MediTrack is made from a copper alloy inner corrugated metallic tubing. You can see it here on the inside of here. Maybe. So it's a copper alloy on the inside of it. It's coated in a flame retardant polyethylene jacket, and it is utilized with a axial swaged mechanically field assembled fitting. This is what's used to tie into existing systems, such as your traditional pipe that would have been in a facility, such as clean and cap copper. Mm-hmm. You know, one of the main benefits of this product, of course, is its flexibility.
Yes.
Okay.
Wonderful. And is it approved? Which standards is it approved by?
So the piping was first approved as a allowable piping system in the 2018 NFPA 99 healthcare facility code.
Okay.
As a alternative to use in conjunction with or as a standalone to the more traditional clean and cap copper piping that has been in the standard for many, many years.
Okay.
It is third-party tested and listed with UL in accordance with UL 1365. Mm-hmm. And that is basically a performance standard that was developed to evaluate CMT tubing as far as its mechanical properties, resistance to temperature, vibration, all of those things to ensure that when the piping system is installed in a healthcare facility, that it's up to doing the tasks that it's put there to do.
Okay, so you've combined 3, so it meets NFPA 99, UL 1365,
correct.
And also ASPE. I'm assuming it's ASPE approved.
With this product, one of the things that is required is to be ASSE 6010 certified. Mm-hmm. So medical gas installers have to be ASSE 6010 certified and trained. Mm-hmm. They also have to have their active brazier certificate with that to do clean and cap copper. We felt we've stayed within those lines and still require an ASSE 6010 installer to install our product, the same as it would be required. Now that's also a requirement within NFPA 99 as well, to install the product, to make sure that it's being done so in such a professional manner that's safe for use in the facilities.
That's great. So how does MediTrack help in the installation of medical gas systems?
All right, well,
since you're talking about how
to really understand MediTrack and the evolution of it, you have to understand that NFPA 99 is the governing code for the most part of healthcare medical gas installations. And there has been no major advancements in tubing or piping system that supplies those gases since about 1993 version of the NFPA 99 code.
Oh, wow.
And basically that code change right there was just focusing on the cleanliness of the clean and cap copper pipe. So fast forward to 2018, Meditrack has introduced a whole new system and a way of running medical grade gas piping into facilities and ultimately for patient use.
Okay, and then it's like, I'm assuming, is there ease of installation? What's the proof in the product?
One of the big things that you see with this is traditional pipe, cleaning cap copper. It's rigid. All right, it comes in long continuous sticks, 10 feet, 20 feet long. Trying to move them down through an active hospital that's undergoing renovation can be a little bit more difficult. With the Meditrack, because it is flexible, it comes on long continuous rolls. So an installer can take 300 feet of this pipe and put it on his cart and push it down a hallway that is basically no bigger than a bed that would be pushed down through the hallway, meaning less disruption to the operations overall. The other thing that's a benefit of it is because it is long continuous links, there's no intermediate braze joints. So every time a piece of cleaning cap copper pipe has to be transitioned in elevation or around a corner, it has to be cut. A fitting has to be attached and it has to be brazed, requiring hot work. All of these steps introduce the opportunity for potential contamination. So we can run Meditrack from point A to point B with no intermediate breaks or joints, reducing or eliminating the risk of contamination, as well as reducing the amount of hot work that's done on site that could pose potential fire hazards within a facility.
Wow. And what about cost? How does this compare to a traditional system? I know that's the big elephant in the room.
That always comes up. There is no doubt about it. Cost always is at the forefront. I can tell you that Meditrack, as a product cost, is more expensive than what the traditional cleaning cap copper pipe is. But when you start to look at total installed cost on a project, we're typically doing 60% or better on the labor savings on this side. So if we've got a 10-day scheduled installation time, we're dropping that down sometimes to 4 days of on-site pulling pipe, getting everything up and running, which gives the facility a chance to get back up in operation much faster. So they're starting to open these beds back up, get patient services back through much quicker when we're looking at a system using Meditrack.
Okay, so oh wow. So is it? I guess some of the best applications. Talk about who utilizes your product, the Meditrack CM2.
So application-wise, Meditrack has been out since code-proof since 2018. Which means we really started to build up. Now, of course, there was a small hiccup in there that we are all aware of with the COVID coming out. And launching any business right as a major nationwide pandemic comes out is poses its own hurdles. But along with that, pros opportunities as well. Certainly there are the retrofit and remodel markets for healthcare facilities. There's the underground market, going from bulk oxygen tanks supplying to the facility, which has been a big thing with this because we can do this in a continuous pipe. We have other avenues now. We can work on timetables a little bit better by installing pre-installed conduit and coming back at a later time to pull the pipe through the conduit underground. New construction is there as well. It's also a good fit for that. Unfortunately, with the COVID side, we found out that emergency deployment was also a benefit of that. We did emergency facilities at the Javits Center in New York. We did installations at the Cleveland Clinic. We've had installations all over the country where, because of the ease of deployment, ease of the installation, the product was a no-brainer to get these emergency sites up and running much quicker than trying to do all the brazing that was associated with the cleaning cap. So in the retrofit side, zone valve relocations, there's a lot of that going on with some code changes that have happened in the past. Moving the location of zone valves works great for that. It's a quick, it's an easy installation. We work with existing systems that are there. The fittings can be tied into the existing cleaning cap copper systems. And then the routing of it is very simple.
Oh, wow. And how has the industry or the market overall accepted this new product, fairly new product?
Overall, the acceptance has been well. The hardest part with any new product is codes. They're constantly, being updated, being changed. Some places are very quick to adapt to new codes, while others lag a little bit further behind. And we at Meditrack have been working with not only code officials, but engineers, healthcare facilities, contractors, all of them, to bring them up to speed, to get them to where they need to be. Now, one of the biggest code hurdles that we had was with CMS, Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services. They've adopted the 2012 edition of NFPA 99, so there are several editions back. We actually ended up, for Meditrack, was issued a CMS waiver, which basically means that even though CMS is on a 2012 and Meditrack was not included, we now have a waiver that states Meditrack or CMT is acceptable per CMS guidelines now. So that helps the facilities a little bit navigate the water. There's some paperwork that needs to be finalized with it, but we certainly help all the facilities out with that to get them up to speed on what they need to do.
So you make sure that you are accepted before you will do anything.
We do. I mean, you know, a lot of the plans for facilities that are coming up now, if they're getting built this year, they were probably designed 2, 3, sometimes 4 years ago. We might not be on the spec package, and we recognize that. We're willing to work with the contractor, the facility, the engineers to provide them all of the documentation that they need. We even provide an in-house sizing service where we can take and convert a system that was designed in clean and cap copper and transition it over to Meditrack. And that's a service that we provide free of charge. You know, we get the information, we start working with the engineer, we provide them all of the technical data that they need so that they can rest assured when the facility is built, everything's going to operate the way that it should.
Oh, that's fantastic. And what about availability? What is the standard availability?
Availability, it's on the shelf. Let's put it that way. Most standard orders ordered directly off the price sheet with what we have there, ship within 2 days. We do some custom stuff like that can take a little bit longer depending on what the application is and how our engineers help you figure out what works best, but typically 2 days ship.
Oh, wow. Is there, where are you based?
So the manufacturing operation is based out of Exton, Pennsylvania. All of the tubing and actually the fittings are all made within Pennsylvania. So we manufacture all of the tubing, and the fittings are done at a local shop just down the road. So all built right here in the U.S.
That's fantastic. And what can our readers, my readers, plumbing engineer, PHCP pros, everyone, expect from your company in the coming year?
Well, you know, certainly we are here at the Expo today, you know, going through, having that. We do a lot of focus on regional shows. A lot of the ASPE chapters that host regional shows throughout the area, we always try to get our guys worked into there so they can be there to answer questions. You know, certainly we'll be at most of the major expos throughout the course of the next 12 months. We pretty much hit them all. You know, all they have to do is look us up. We'll be happy to answer questions. We also have our website, has all of our information on it, from installation instructions, case studies, technical specifications, as well as all of our sales contacts. So if someone is interested in a more in-depth conversation, lunch and learns, things like that, we have all that available information there. They can reach out. We'll be happy to help them.
That's amazing. So if we're here today, where can we visit you at? What's your booth number? Tell us.
We are at booth 939 today.
Okay, great.
Okay, so we're set up there. We've got product on hand. We've got literature, everything else. Also have a couple of our sales guys there as well. So if you're looking for something specific, certainly we can help you out.
Fantastic. Is there anything you'd like to add?
I'm just trying to think. Now you caught me off guard here, but you know, I will throw out our webpage address if somebody wants to visit our webpage. It is www.meditrack.us.com. Also works. But other than that, I think I've covered most of it. Unless you've got something else you're going to throw at me here last minute.
I'm going to say that's Meditrack with an I, MEDITRAC, if you don't know. And I think we're good. I thank you so much for your time this afternoon, and I look forward to stopping by your booth a little later.
I appreciate it. It's been great, and I appreciate you having us here.
Thank you. Have
Thank
a great
you very
afternoon.
much.
Good afternoon. My name is Amalia Delianis, and I'm the editor of Plumbing Engineer magazine. And I'd like to welcome you to another episode of PHCPPros Live. We are here today at the ASPE Convention and Expo, which is taking place at the Indiana Convention Center. My guest this afternoon is Tony DiDonicio, and he is the regional sales engineer at American Gas and Safety. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you. Why don't you tell me a little bit about your role at AGS?
Yeah, so I'll start by just telling you a little bit about myself.
Okay.
So, I started out in engineering. I started out as an engineer. I was a mechanical engineer, and when I came to American Gas Safety, I started to take my technical side of it and apply it to sales as well. So as you guys know, everybody knows about the industry. You have our reps. We have reps, a network of reps throughout the country that sell and get our products in front of engineers. So my job is to support all of those reps. Support them in sales, support them going in and actually seeing our customers and anything technical on the background. So I'm just looking after our reps, helping them out, helping any of the engineers out whenever it comes to anything technical on our products. It's something that we really pride ourselves on at AGS is helping out engineers designing technical products into their system. So that's just kind of a little bit about my role.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And talk to us a little bit about American Gas Safety. I mean, if people have not heard of your company before, what would you like them to know?
Yeah, so I guess I'll just do the whole, I'll get, just introduce us as we are as a whole. So American Gas Safety is an electronics controls manufacturer.
Okay.
We're based out of Tampa, Florida. So American Gas Safety is also part of a larger national brand. So we brought our technology into Canada. We're in Australia as Oceania Gas Safety, and then we have a large operation in England as well as S&S Northern in the UK.
Okay.
So like I said, we're an electronics and controls manufacturer, but we have a specialization in gas safety.
Okay.
And that means gas detection, so your regular boiler room gases, carbon monoxide, combustible gas, but also utility controls. So your actual physical gas that's going into your buildings. For instance, in school labs, one of the things that we're most known for is our science lab utility control. So we're giving science teachers key authority control in their science labs over the gas. So in a K through 12 environment, you can imagine for a teacher, the name of the game is authority control. When they have rambunctious students in their classrooms, they want to be able to control things, especially those harmful gases, combustible gases, but not only just the gases, they want to control the rest of the utilities, the electrical outlets, the water, to make sure people aren't playing with them when they're not supposed to. So that's one of the things that we're doing for science teachers, but in addition to that, we're also doing safety features for gas. So that's automatic shutdown, panic button inputs, so actual emergency panic button inputs, connectivity to fire alarms. So if you actually have a fire inside of that building, we're going to automatically shut the gas off. Now, if you put yourself into the shoes of a teacher or any kind of facility worker in the event of a fire, and you have gas on in that building, the first thing that they're trying to think about is getting out of the building or getting their students out of the building. So often they forget to turn the gas off, both in an emergency situation, but also just even at the end of the day while leaving the classroom. So we're doing timeout functions, fire alarm connectivity. This type of gas safety is something that is, I'm not going to say relatively new, but it's not a code-required product. It's not a code-required thing to have.
Okay.
You would actually be surprised at the lack of gas safety that is in national codes, where in, let's say, for instance, science classrooms and in commercial kitchens, all they have to do is have a manual ball valve in there. So the emergency shutoff is a manual ball valve. You can locate it anywhere inside that room. And so a lot of the times when we do these kind of systems, gas safety systems, we're giving the end user something that they actually want, not just required. So we're actually getting requests on these kind of systems. And then with that, we are doing gas detection as well. But I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, so it's like, I guess it's like, are you guys having a great show? I know this is the first day. What is your primary focus at the show today? What are you, besides this, safety system, what are you most excited about?
Well, as for the show in general, we're really excited just to be here at ASPE. ASPE, we've been a supporter of ASPE since 2011, and we're a large supporter of them. We're members locally. We always try to do these shows, and the event like this gives us an opportunity to actually connect with our engineering community and our rep community that we don't often get to see. And not often do we get to have, so we have 30 reps, over 30 rep firms across the country. Not often do we get all those rep firms in one location that we can meet all of them. And so that's one of the things that we're doing. And then actually being able to see our engineering community that is designing these systems, putting it in their buildings is a huge advantage, and then providing education. So this is our biggest booth yet that we've done, and we did large demo boards, so simulation boards, so we can actually bring the engineers in and let them touch it and feel it. So ASPE, as we know, is all about education, and that's what we try to do as well. So we're trying to educate when they come by how these systems work, what kind of technology exists in the gas safety world.
Okay, so you talked about this system, and what about the Mini Merlin? Can you talk to me a little bit about the Mini Merlin?
Yeah, so one of the things that we're most excited to talk about, and we've been talking about everybody that comes by our booth, is a carbon monoxide interlock.
Okay.
So CO interlock is really gaining popularity, and it's actually been code required in Texas, Florida, and Georgia now within the last 2 years.
Okay.
So it's starting to spread. What they're requiring is that inside of your boiler rooms, you have a carbon monoxide detector that actually interlocks with your boiler.
Okay.
So if you get a carbon monoxide leak in that space, the detector will automatically shut the boiler off. And the reason why they're doing it is because, one, it just makes sense, right? It makes sense that if you have a leak, you should have a device in there that automatically shuts it off. Right now, the only code requirement nationally, what's done in most boiler rooms, is nothing but a simple panic button, a manual emergency shut-off switch.
Right.
And so what that means is a human being actually has to be in there, recognize it, they have to either hear the alarm or smell a gas leak, and then they physically shut it off. But what happens if somebody's not there? And these are also human beings that we're talking about, and we all make mistakes. We like to think that we're perfect, but we're not. And so what we're trying to do is get devices in there that can automatically do this kind of thing for us. And it's feasible. That's the other reason why they're doing it and making it code required, is this unit is only a few $100s.
Right.
And all you really have to do is you put this in, you mount it on the wall, and then you wire it directly into your boiler safety circuit. And so as soon as this goes off, it communicates to that boiler immediately just to shut off. And there's no additional devices necessary. So you're talking about a true $400 device to get this kind of interlock.
So how does it, once you wire it into place and connect it to the boiler, how does it detect the leak? Like what is it picking up on to?
Yeah, so actually it's funny you ask this. So any gas detection manufacturer, we all use this kind of the same thing, where it's a gas sensor inside of it. So the sensor, actually what it does, I mean, in just kind of in a summary, there's a natural reaction that'll occur between the water vapor in the air and the methane, and it will create an electrical current within our sensors, and we can actually pick up the electrical current to detect for that gas. So the electrical current, you can translate it into different parts per millions. And then that's how we actually sense the gas. And then internally, we take that ppm level and then we use it to control different devices. So there's actual relays, outputs in here to control devices. And everything is built into this unit. Okay. So this is basically a large gas detection panel condensed down into a standalone gas detector.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And are there any other applications for these types of interlocks? Interlocks?
You know, so the first other application is what we're trying to do is get it to spread to the other states.
Okay.
So in Florida, for example, when they first came out with the carbon monoxide code, there was a local boiler inspector that was shutting down around 4 to 6 boilers every single month because they had high carbon monoxide content in their boiler rooms. And these are commercial spaces that have sleeping quarters in them, so hotels, lodging areas that had sustained 50 part per million carbon monoxide levels in them. And so we're trying to introduce this into other boiler rooms, simply for that. The other place that it has a lot of application we've gone in is commercial kitchens. So in commercial kitchens, you're using gas burning appliances with permanent pilots. So they always have the pilots lit, and that way they can come in, start the grills. Anywhere else in the world, in a lot of different countries, permanent pilots have been outlawed, but they still remain supreme here in the United States. And one of the biggest risk factors to a permanent pilot is it can get blown out, and then you get a gas leak in there because there's no flame failure device. And so if you get a gas leak and nobody's around to actually recognize it, there's nothing stopping that gas from filling that room and blowing up that kitchen. And so we've actually gotten requests from restaurant owners to put this in there and not only just detect for the gas, but like I said, automatically shut it down. So we can tie it into a gas solenoid valve, and then as soon as we detect combustible gas, we will automatically shut off that valve, and then they'll never, it just gives them peace of mind after hours when they're not there.
Okay. And has the pandemic that have been eating out of. Has that impacted where your product is, where you've been using this application, this product?
So we do a lot of different. So the pandemic really.
What changes?
So it kind of changed really our whole outlook on what products we're looking at to develop. So we've actually developed new products separate from our mini Merlins, separate from our utility controller, such as our time gas.
That's perfect.
So time gas control. We've seen a big increase for outdoor amenity areas during the pandemic where people can hang out outside, enjoy time safely during the pandemic. And so what we found with that is an increase in fire features, gas grills, and so we're giving people more control over these appliances because they want more control now that they're bringing in more features, and they want things such as time gas control. And there's actually been local codes, such as Oregon now is put in a local code where they require time gas control at fire features, not just for the safety aspect of it, but also for they don't want gas getting wasted if people leave the utilities on. We don't want the gas to just continue to spew out, so this will automatically time out for that specific reason.
Okay, so that's great. So this is used strictly for residential applications, or are in some commercial settings as well?
Actually, believe it or not, it's mostly commercial.
Oh, wow, okay.
We probably do 99% commercial with this, and this is your high-end hotels where you have big outdoor patio areas, and we can give them time control at every single location.
Good.
And then we could also give them a central location where they can have something like a key controller over their entire patio that feeds the power to their individual timers. And so, just across the board, really, what we're trying to do is just introduce more gas safety devices to the market, because there really is not a lot of gas safety. There's a lot of codes that lag, and so we're trying to really.
And why do you think there has been such a slow uptick on gas safety codes and standards?
It's tough to say, and I really don't have the answer for that, honestly. I think a lot of people look at it. I think there's a lot of local inspectors that look at it. I just believe that there's a long process to getting national codes put into play. I think you need to see some interest locally, like what we're seeing in Florida, Texas, and Georgia with the carbon monoxide. And once enough people recognize it, then they might implement it into something more of a national code. But like I said, I don't have the answers. I'm not on a code council. I don't know, but we're just trying to give the engineers what they want.
All right.
Yeah.
So what can our engineers and our viewers overall expect from AGS this year?
So one of the biggest things that we like to do with our products is do off-the-shelf solutions. And when I was talking about our gas detection range, such as carbon monoxide interlocks, where it's code required, you have one product, you put it in there, you wire it to your devices, and it just works. It's plug and play. Where our larger gas detection panels, you have regular applications, refrigerant, standard applications. We want to give people products that they can just put in there, wire them up, and it just works for what they want. There's no custom, there's no complicated setup, there's no programming on it. So what we're going to try to do is take that sort of application and that sort of concept and just take it into different markets, take it into the refrigerant detection market, give people off-the-shelf solutions for that. And then we're also looking more into indoor air quality. Now, I'm not sure if you're familiar, but there's a lot of talk nowadays about indoor air quality. The pandemic also forced us to take a different look on how we view indoor air quality. And so we're coming out with sensors that can measure all of your pollutants, not just CO2 now, but also temperature, humidity, particulate matter, VOCs, put all of those things together and then ventilate your building based on it, and then give you an air quality grade to a central monitoring system or locally within that space. So these are just kind of the things that we're working on in the background that
that sounds really interesting.
Yeah.
When do you expect to push out like the first version of this IAQ?
So we have an IAQ ready now, right? And so we're just kind of doing the fine details. So we went through the development process. We looked at all the individual codes that are being required for indoor air quality, and we put all those things together to actually give you that grade, right? So a lot of the software is developed and we have the product. Now we're just fine tuning it on the installation and what end users really want. So we're really going to go out and start to talk to customers. So we're probably talking in a few months, or 3 or 4 months, we'll probably have something like this out for the market.
Oh, I'll look out for that.
Yeah.
That news. Is there anything that you'd like to add today? Did I miss anything?
I think I covered it. It's hard. Like American Gas Safety and all the different products we do. We do everything utility control and everything gas detection. We can make things as simple as you want, as complicated as you want.
Right.
It's tough to put everything in a 15-minute interview.
Right.
But every time we do something like this, we just try to spread awareness for gas safety and environments.
So for the people who are here today at the ASPE Expo, what's your booth number? Where can they come visit you for some more information?
Yeah, booth number 740. Come on by. You can win an Oculus. We're giving an Oculus away. So,
cool.
Yeah.
And then if you are not here with us today, where can they find out more about AGS?
Our website, AmericanGasSafety.com, great resource to go to for products, and then you can get all of our contact information from our website as well.
Well, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time this afternoon.
Thank you. Very appreciate it.
Take care.
Welcome back, everybody. My name is Steve Smith. I'm the editor of PHC News Magazine, and we are here at PHCPPros Live, a series of live interviews we're doing at our booth here at ASPE. And Uponor North America is back at ASPE with a big presence, and we're going to talk to Aaron Stocko. Sorry.
Yes, sir.
Silent T on the second T. They have 4 big themes for the show attendees this year, and we're going to talk to Aaron about those. Aaron's been with the company for 12 years, growing from an engineering intern to now a leader within the company's marketing division. So, Aaron, thanks for coming on board.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Good to meet you. I think it's safe to say that, well, I was telling you before we went live that I know Uponor from the Worsbo days back in the day. So I think it's safe to say everybody kind of knows you about